So, what even is politics? For a term that is used so much in our society by so many people on a daily basis, one would assume they know what the term means. Many people assume they know what politics means. They believe that two crazy people yelling at each other on a stage about something that doesn't even make sense is politics. And believe it or not, they are right. Politics is any activity involved with governing. Usually that governing is of a country or some form of nation. Almost everyone involves themselves in politics, even if they aren't doing the governing or lawmaking. By voting or simply spreading your views, you are involving yourself in politics. Politics is a term that many people associate with a negative connotation. In today's world, politics is often a divisive word, and the kind of subject you aren't supposed to bring up at your Thanksgiving dinner. But why is this the case? Political views are simply different ways people and their political parties want to solve a problem. Often, their solutions seem to be polar opposites of each other, but as long as the problem is being attempted to be solved, it is a step in the right direction. In general, people tend to fall into two distinct categories, even though this is not always the case. These categories are conservatives and liberals. In the United States, these terms are often associated with Republicans and Democrats. Both conservatives and liberals wish to solve problems their country faces, but each group has different ways to solve those problems. Some core values of conservative policy are personal responsibility, limited government, free market ideals, individual liberty, and a strong national defense. Some core value of liberal policies are government action, the government alleviating social ills, and to protect civil liberty and human rights. Liberal policy generally emphasizes the need for government to solve problems. Now, we are going to explore the life of a young boy named Roger. Roger will live his life just like any other person. We will explore the different factors in Roger's life that cause him to think politically the way he does. As you watch and listen to Roger's journey, think about the journey that you have taken so far and how your current political views have been shaped. During the 21st century in the United States of America, there is a boy named Roger. Roger is the son of Jason and Claire. Even though Roger doesn't know it yet, he is starting his journey through the political maze. He is less than 1 year old, but he is already starting to show signs of political views. Even at a young age, Roger has many traits that make him who he is. He has a low attention span and tends to be very fearful. Studies show that behaviors like this could mean that Roger will grow up to be a conservative. On the other hand, liberals tend to be more restless and active as infants. Roger's parents, who are both conservatives, may play a huge role in the formation of Roger's political views. However, at a young age, these views won't be expressed by his parents through logistics and reasoning. It is more likely that depending on what behaviors Roger is taught, Roger will either become a conservative or a liberal. As Roger continues to grow up, he will eventually go to school where he will make friends with people who have common interests with himself. Although politics don't tend to be discussed in elementary school, the people who Roger becomes friends with in school will influence his views later down the line. When Roger starts to enter middle school and high school, his teachers may begin to play a large role in the formation of Roger's political views. Middle school and high school is the point where most people become interested in politics and then form their views. His teachers, whether by accident or on purpose, may have a role of swaying Roger to think one way or the other. In addition to his education at school, Roger may also receive an education based on his religion. Religion can play a huge part in convincing people to think certain ways when it comes to social issues, such as abortion or capital punishment. Depending on how religious Roger will become, his religion may play a large or small role in the formation of his political views. As Roger enters high school, many new factors start to kick in. While many people are convinced their views are set in stone when they reach high school, for many people it is a new chapter for exposure to new factors. One of these new factors can be that your friends will begin to discuss politics. These friends may have had their views formed and influenced by many factors, such as their upbringing, religion, and prior education on different topics. Many people will agree with the people they socialize with to fit in. Although this sounds like a bad thing, It is human nature. Roger now also may begin to take classes that involve modern-day politics, such as American government classes or philosophy classes. The curriculum of these classes, or the teachers of these classes, may introduce new ways of thinking to Roger that he has never considered before. There is also a chance that these classes reinforce his existing views. Now that Roger is familiar with his religion, he may rethink his existing political views or even rethink his religious views. Having a different thought process when it comes to religion and politics is very rare. Most people apply their religious beliefs to their political views because it is very hard for people to contradict themselves. Roger's parents may now begin to share some of their views with Roger. Hopefully, the goal of these actions by Roger's parents is not to fully convince Roger that he must agree with his parents, but instead the goal should be to inform Roger about the facts of different relevant topics. Roger may feel that his parents have good views, and he may feel more comfortable in siding with his parents, but many people that are Roger's age want to naturally rebel against their parents. Another factor that begins to influence children at a middle school or high school age is social media. In general, most people like to see what they agree with. Social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter are all ways where Roger can be bombarded by opinions that Roger either agrees with or disagrees with. Ultimately, most people use social media to reinforce their views by telling themselves that this person believes a certain way, so I should too. Like social media, sources of news are also very important in reinforcing political views. As everyone knows, almost all sources of news have their bias in some way or another. Depending on what and who Roger listens and watches can play a big part in the reinforcement of his political views. If Roger listens to opposing views for so long, he may begin to understand them, and thus start to believe in them. Examples of sources of news can be cable television, newspapers, and online articles. By now, Roger believes his views are set, but Roger is about to experience a new environment and leave his comfortable hometown for the first time. College is the place where Roger is most likely to change his mind on different issues. There are three main factors in college that can influence Roger's political views: new social groups, Roger's specific education, for example, what Roger will major in, and finally, the location of Roger's college. First, Roger will want to become part of new social groups. Within those social groups, many people will be verbal about their political views. If Roger becomes friends with people who disagree with him, Roger may be prone to thinking about things in different ways. These new friends may also have different supporting stories or pieces of evidence to defend themselves against Roger's opposing views. Roger may be convinced, or he may surrender his strong beliefs to become closer with his new friends. Roger's education will also play a large role in influencing his views. For example, if Roger decides to become an art major, it is more likely he will be exposed to people who are more liberal, compared to if Roger were to become an economics major, he may be exposed to people who are more conservative. This may or may not influence Roger's views, but the more he is exposed to views he disagrees with, the more he is likely to agree with those new views. Another factor relating to college is the location of the college. If the college Roger attends to is in an area that is generally more liberal, such as New England, Roger will be exposed to more liberal views. Or if Roger goes to a college in the Midwest, Roger will be exposed to more conservative views. Once Roger completes his college journey, he has most likely finally discovered his political opinions. However, depending on the state of the country, Roger may see for himself that either conservative or liberal ideas are working. Although the success of the country is almost always a factor for the formation of political views, it is not until Roger begins his career that he will really see the effects of different governing ideologies. The news and social media will continue to reinforce Roger's views throughout his whole life. As time goes on, Roger will become more used to hearing his views from the news and social media that it will be difficult for anyone to change Roger's mind. However, a huge event in the country, such as an economic depression, may change some of Roger's views. This cycle will continue once Roger has kids. His kids will most likely go through a similar process as Roger did. Some of Roger's experiences as a child may cause him to be more influential on his children than his parents were. Finally, as Roger grows older, it is more likely he becomes a conservative or a stronger conservative, because studies show that older people tend to be more conservative. All in all, the discussion of how political opinions are formed is very complicated. Roger's life had many factors that could have influenced his views. Some people don't have a lot of factors and maybe only listen to their parents or their religion. Everyone is different when it comes to the formation of political opinions, and that is why everyone has different opinions.